Greetings, traders, and thank you for joining with me today on this special eSignal Boomerang training session where I'm going to go over approximately 10 days of trading setups on Boomerang, and it's being done during this extremely volatile historical period of August 12th through August 21st. In fact, on August 21st, Friday, the market got slammed over 500 points to the downside on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's been a long, long time since we've seen a slam of this kind of level. So we're going to show you Boomerang Day Trader during this really incredibly historic, volatile period in the markets. Again, starting mid-morning here, you can see on the bottom here, down around 8:12, and taking it right up through that Friday. Now, the first thing I want to show you, and this should be on the Boomerang page there for instructions. If not, you can always email me at mohan@daytradersaction.com and get this. This is our PDF showing the exact Ultra Boomerang Day Trader precision trading method and rules. Again, I'll just briefly scroll through this. It's very, very simple to learn. Now, again, Boomerang trades on a 450 tick chart. There's no other setting for Boomerang other than 450 ticks that is authorized as the default system. Boomerang was developed by me for experimentation, so you're certainly welcome to experiment, but just learn the default method and the proven trading method for Boomerang Day Trader first. Then later, if you want to experiment a little, you'll be even more successful. So first of all, learn the successful proven method that gives you 80 to 90% winning trades. I don't know how you're going to beat that by experimenting, but just learn the method first. Then later you can try some other things if you want. So again, 450 ticks, and there are only basically two trade setups and three basic rules. Now, there are a couple of modifications I'm going to talk about on today's session, so don't worry about it. They're easy to memorize and everything, but basically we're just looking at two trade setups and three basic rules. Now, again, I'm not going to go into all, I'm just showing you the trade setup. Number one is spelled out clearly with chart examples here showing how it works. Trade setup 2 is explained in great detail here. And you can just use this as a reference point with the pictures of the charts and everything. See how that works? It's very brief. Notice how brief it is here. Now the key rules are very simple. We're not going to trade against a steep dynamic trend band, number 2, and I'll explain those in a minute. We're not going to trade against a flat dynamic trend band, number 2. Our whole focus of our trading is around the dynamic trend band number 2, basically, and when dynamic trend band is preparing to cross over number 2. I'll show you that in a minute. We also use a wonderful indicator called the Cobra. And the third rule is don't take trades on a fat channel, and this is caused by spike candles coming into the market. Now, during these volatile periods especially, and even during normal periods, you'll see a lot of these, but don't worry about it. I'll show you in a minute in great detail. Again, we're going to go over 10 days of setups, so you'll have a real good idea how to trade with Boomerang once you're done watching this. And again, all chart setups showing what steep and flat and fat channels are and everything. But I'll go into these in detail. You can always go to our blog at boomerangtrader.com. You can sign up to receive blog notices for our bi-weekly live trainings, and it'll be similar to what you're seeing today, and we do them every couple weeks. So I just wanted to show you the PDF. If you don't see it there on the eSignal K page, just email me and I'll send it to you. It should be there though. So here we go. Now again, this is starting on around the 12th. This is mid-morning on the 12th. I want to show you, I'm going to go real slow at first, and then as I get cranking into the whole rest session, I don't want this tape to go too long, beyond 20 to 30 minutes, so I'll take off a little faster. Now what we have first of all, just as far as the basic components, you have the Boomerang trade channels, which are signaled by an arrow here, in this case a triangle arrow showing that the trade channel is opening. It's alarmed, and you can see it instantly on the chart. That tells you to look for a buy trade. When the dynamic trend bands are close to crossing over or matching color we're going to look for a trade within that trade channel, in this case a buy channel, on a pullback to this very thin dash line, which is called the trade signal line. We're going to look for the Cobra to match, and in 90% of the cases crossing over the dynamic trend band number 1 and number 2 here as well. When there's a pullback to the signal line, which is marked in this case by these diamond-shaped markings, a blue diamond shape for the bullish side for a buy trade and a black diamond shape for the sell side. Now, these are going to occur within 7 to 8 candles off the opening trade channel. You want to get the earliest ones that print on the signal line. That's the rule generally. And we want to watch for too big or fast of a run up in the prices to create a super fat channel, which I'll show you that in a second too. In this case here, you can see we have the matching dynamic trend band number 1. We have the dynamic trend band number 2 matching colors. That's the first rule. If these two are matching, you can trade a pullback to the signal line. That's right here. Now we're going to scalp according to the method for 3 points, and I'm using a mini NASDAQ here, which I consider the best day trading contract for the U.S. stock indexes. Boomerang can be used on any active futures contract, stock, or ETF, including all the indexes around the world for their stock indexes like Germany and Europe, England, in London and everything. All those exchanges can be used. The Nifty over in India, everything. But let me just show you how it works on the mini NASDAQ, and then you can adapt it according to the contract you want to trade. But we're just looking for a 12-tick profit, and I'm going to use a 20-tick wide stop. Now the reason is, if you follow the exact rules, don't be shocked here, but you're going to get an 80 to 90% trade winning ratio. So don't worry about the wider stop. You want to keep it wide because it gets hit so rarely it won't matter. 1 out of every 10 trades might get stopped out. And I've had examples where we've gone weeks without any stop outs. So don't worry about a wider stop for right now. Focus on making money. So here's the matching colors. That's one of the rules. If the dynamic trend bands match color and you got a new buy or sell channel in a direction, in this case a buy channel, buy the first pullback to the signal line. Get long here. This would have been at 45.50 approximately, and they ran up to 53.25 in an instant. So there was immediate 3-point gain right there. Now just bear with me for a while and don't worry about, gee, you missed a lot. There was a lot left on the table. You want to focus on safety and in getting really good at trading the exact rules with Boomerang, not making up rules or just trying to wing it. That's not going to help you. Don't blame Boomerang if you don't take the time to learn the rules and just start winging trades. That's not going to work. The way to do it is to follow the exact method I'm showing you. Another method is when the dynamic trend bands, like in this example here. So moving up here, that's the only trade that we had, this one trade, which is an instant 3-point gain. And then up here, there's a second level trade, but it's too far advanced. You want to wait for the next turnaround. Now keep in mind too, if you want more points, if you get really, really good and professional at following my exact method, well, you can put 4 contracts on. You want more points? Put 8 contracts on. Put on 10. You don't have to sit and take all this risk and catch these runners. But I will show you a method for doing that on our regular bi-weekly free video tutorials that we record. You can come on the blog and watch those, and I'll show you how to catch the runners. But for now, just use the core method. So there's a 3-point winner there. Now look what happens here. Notice how the dynamic trend bands are right here crossing over, but we have to wait for what? That's right, a new sell channel to alert, and we have to wait for at least the dynamic trend band number 1 to change color. Because there's already a crossover here, you're immediately permissioned after the trade channel opens up to trade the pullback to the signal line according to the system. The system permissions you to go ahead and take that trade right here approximately at 44.61, and they immediately drop down to 57.25 for a 3-point move there. The market continues lower, and it continues to make a stronger move lower. And again, remember, these were through historical volatile periods. Absolutely wild and insane volatility during the markets. We got two winners in a row so far. So what happens next? That's right, we wait for the market to cross over here, watching the Cobra to cross over. The Cobra is always going to lead, in most cases, the price action and tell you when a new trade channel is going to open. You see how they're turning colors here, and the candle colors are changing to green. We get a new buy channel right here, but we can't trade until we have the exact configurations we need. And that would mean waiting for these dynamic trend bands to either cross over, match color, or the third thing is to be within a point and a half each other. Now notice DTB number 2 over on the right side is 44.50.20, and if I pull it down here, it's 48.60. See that? 49.75, 49.75.50, and 48. So within a point and a half each other. That means you can go ahead and buy the next pullback signal line. Well, what happened here is they already ran up substantially after these initial pullback signal line, which weren't permission trades because we didn't have the dynamic trend bands close enough. One could argue that this is the trade right here to be made at 57.5. Now, that's correct, and that wouldn't be a problem. However, on a run-up like this, my advice, and it's not in the manual, but you can make a note of this, it's easy to remember. When you get a run-up like that, it's pretty fast, and you're going to look to buy the pullback, the signal line, just try to get a discount. And that usually that exact best price is going to be right at the Cobra, which is shown right here at 55.30. You see that move to the Cobra there? That's usually going to be your best price. Or you can work any discount under the signal line, 57.75, down towards the space between the Cobra and in here. But usually you'll find on a run-up like that, you will get a pullback to the Cobra that'll hold, because look, the DTBs are just crossing over here. So that's going to be a good strong move in most cases to the upside, which it definitely was. Third winning trade in a row there on an extremely volatile day. Now you're just waiting. Too big of a move up here to work the rest of the move, although it's powerful, and that's again the volatility that was occurring. So you're not worried about any of these trades here because, again, you just don't have all the matching dynamic trend bands here to support going long here just yet. So we're just waiting. Now what happened here? Well, you have a flat dynamic trend band after a big steep move up. So there's no sell side trade here because you don't have the matching dynamic trend band colors until down here. But again, the trade was not set up right because it was a big move, and what you're getting is a choppy lower move with a flat dynamic trend band number 2. Remember that rule I showed you earlier? You do not want to trade against a flat dynamic trend band number 2. Just wait a while and let the market give some clarity. Well, what did it do? Prices sprang up, a new buy channel opened, and all the dynamic trend bands are matching right here. You see that green and this blue cyan color and blue cyan on the dynamic trend band number 2. There's the pullback signal line by the market right here, and they shoot higher still. Now you're waiting for a crossover here, and notice how you still 1550 to 1740, you still don't have that point and a half spread. And when they tighten up down here, what's already happened, you can see from up here, the market has ran substantially lower already, canceling the trade, because if you turn your head to the left, you can see the fat channel forming here. Again, it's a whipsaw move after an extreme upside move here. No sell right here. Now, even though I would say this is not a sell here because of the radical shot to the downside, you can see still on this pullback the signal line here at 875, they did shoot all the way down to 375 for a 5-point move. You could have taken this trade, but it was a higher risk deal. It fell in line with the rules and got 3 points, but in my view as a trainer and a developer of Boomerang, This would have been a higher risk trade because they shot down so fast here. Once they shot down lower, they rocket shipped back up to the upside here. And again, you don't have a trade here because you've got the crossover of the dynamic trend band number 1 and the colors are matching here, but what is the disqualifying feature? That's right, a flat dynamic trend band number 2. So just ignore this trade, wait a while, get some clarity. Well, sure enough, all of a sudden you got all the dynamic trend bands matching here without the prices shooting up. You got a nice flat tight configuration, dynamic trend band number 2. There's already been a crossover the downside telling you to be more leaning on the downside move. Dynamic trend band number 2 right here, or number 1, and the Cobra all turning red. Boom, you sell them there and you get a quick drop off lower for the 5th winning trade in a row. Once again, all dynamic trend bands matching here with the Cobra crossing over. Pull back the sig line. 6th winning trade in a row coming here into the market, getting in towards the final hour. Prices run up here. No trade here because you got a steeper dynamic trend band. Prices drop off quickly and there's no match here. Sure, there's a tight crossover, but what do you got? You not only do not have a flat dynamic trend, you got a steep or more leaning towards the upside dynamic trend band. Just wait for clarity on these. Try to avoid. You got to learn the rules. It takes a little practice when you're in these live markets. Just wait for the market to give you more clues. And what does it do? Opens a new buy channel, right? You got a green Cobra. Now you've got a bullish dynamic trend band number 1 and number 2 matching by the pullback the sig line, and up they go for the 7th winning trade in a row. Now right here you got a tight spread on the crossover. Now you do have a fast prices shooting down pretty fast here. However, you can see if you scrunch the chart a little, it's a radical topping market up there. You see what I mean? Actually delivered like an Elliott wave 1 through 5 type pattern, which is another subject, and I cover that in our trainings. You don't need to know Elliott wave, but it helps to learn about it. Here's the crossover tightening up, everything matching. Right here's a pullback sig line at 26.50, and they shoot down to 21.22. So there's a 3-point move right in there. You see that? Let me spread this out a little more. Prices drop off, the crossover is tight, the prices match, pull back sig line, and they drop right off. Now you're coming to the close, and we usually don't recommend you trade the last hour of trading. Just let it go and wait for the next day. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. Here's the market opening. This is a West Coast chart, so it's showing 6:30, which is really 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You've got the prices dropping down here, and what happens here that disqualifies the trade? That's right. Prices shoot up rapidly this is mentioned in the briefing here. I'll show you exactly where it shows it in the rules. It's under fat channels. Hold on a quick second while I bring that up. Keys, okay, dynamic trend bands, and here it is here. Here's the exact rule. Do not take trades when a fat channel forms. This is caused by 2 to 4 spike candles after the new trade channel is open. One or more of those candles are normally 250 in length or greater. The pullback sig line in these circumstances often occur at the top or bottom of the move, so we avoid the trade and stand aside. Well, you can see here, this candle was 29.25 to 33.25, 4-point candle here, 3 more in succession. You turn your head to the left, you'll see the fat channel here. It's like a belly sticking out, and you're not going to take this trade up here. It's not an authorized trade because you're trading into a fat channel, so it's not a trade. You just wait for clarity. And what do we got here? We got another channel quickly forming to the downside, and nothing matches up till right here, and the prices are way down here. There's no pullback sig line. We've crossed that 7-8 candle threshold. prices shoot up again. This is not going to be a buy signal because prices are just ramping up against a new downtrend move here. Well, once again, that's why I'm showing you these in the midst of this extremely volatile period, historical volatile period in the U.S. stock markets during this period of August 12th through August 21st. Radical, extreme, historical volatility. These are not normal markets that you're going to see with Boomerang. You'll see the same amount of winning trade usually, but you will not see the market moving as radically as this. So is this a second level? Another trade that's mentioned in here is called the second level trade. That's where you get a first level move, a counter move that fails, in this case in a buy that fails, and you watch to trade that next pullback on the new second level sell channel. Well, what happened here is they shot down really fast, and arguably you could have traded a pullback to the Cobra up here, but normally this whipsaw was so strong you would have traded. Now keep in mind the pullback, the sig line right here at 17 or 18 did go down to 12, did make a 3-point move, and it also at 18 whipsawed up to 21, which would have held the 5-point stop. So if you took this trade or you waited and got them short up above into this zone here above the DTB1 and the Cobra, it would have been a nice trade, but normally I would have avoided this type of trade as well as this one. It's just what I call whipsaw soup. You're liking this soup, and the thing is just whipsawing back and forth. Red candle, green candle, blue dot, black dot. You're just basically going to try to avoid these type of whipsaw markets. That's the rule of Boomerang. Avoid whipsaw. When you see it happening, you don't have to figure out what to do. All you got to do is stand aside and wait for a nice clear trade that matches all the parameters. Now one could argue here too, oh, but there's a pullback sig line and all the trend bands are matching. And it went down to from 45.17 half all the way down to 45.13. I know. And it also went from 17 and whipsawed all the way up to 21. So again, it wasn't an authorized trade though, because number one, look, you've got the crossover, the dynamic trend bands basically giving more credence to the upside, and you're getting insanely radical whipsaw candles right here. Look at this one. 13 quarter to 19 quarter. 6.450 tick candle here. That's why one of the reasons we use 450 ticks. They help me measure how strong the whipsaw is. You're standing aside here. You're standing aside here. You're standing aside here. Who cares? Let the market whipsaw all over the place and just forget about it. Well, now look what happens. They're whipsawing to the downside. You've still, believe it or not, got the dynamic trend bands. There was a minor crossover, but one of the rules is when you see a crossover, a minor one like this that fails, look for a stronger move on the other side. You see that? Here's the crossover here, but a really minor, and it fails, and immediately prices are popping up here. All the trend bands are matching. This is telling you to go ahead and buy the market here. 17 half, they went down to about 13 half. They shot up here to 22, and there's your winning trade right there. Now, if you understood this rule, which I teach on the biweekly trainings, and I just told you now, you would have had an advanced alert to consider holding for a stronger move, because when these crossovers fail and they return to the side that they failed from, or they were upside, they went crossed over the downside and that failed, so that means the next upside move could be very, very powerful, almost like an 80% chance, and it certainly was. So now we're getting the movements going again, everything's smoothing out. Now here's a classic example of a crossover to the downside. The trend bands, notice they're at 37 and 35.75 within a point and a half here. Pull back the sig line and down they go. Nothing here, as this is a counter move across the sig line, but no counter sell channel. Notice we didn't get a counter sell channel and a new sell signal, so we're just waiting for the next crossover, which occurs here, but there's no signals coming in, so we had to miss this whole move. It doesn't matter. It's a proven system with 80 to 90% winning trades, and that's all you care about. If you want more points and you want to catch all the action, well, that's a different issue. If you want more points, just get really good at trading the 80 to 90% winning boomerang trades and add more contracts. That's what I recommend if you want more action. Now here, crossover occurs here. Here's a new sell channel. Here's a pullback sig line. There's a nice easy 3 points without hardly any pressure on the trade. You see that? That's what we want in trading. We want low pressure on the trades, high percentage of winning trades, and when you get in that trade, you get fairly quick reaction on that side. That's the perfect trading life. Sitting in a risky position for hours or 20, 30, 40 minutes, that's fine, but that's a very high risk position. And, you know, that's not what Boomerang is based on. Boomerang is based on taking quick scalps in very low risk setups that give you quick returns on the entry with very little pressure on the stop. Same thing here. Crossover, all the trend bands match, pullback signal line right around 41.75, and they come right down to 35.75. 6 points in literally about a minute and a half. That's the kind of trades we like. Like I said, get real good at using Boomerang. Get familiar with it. After a few months, you start seeing how reliable it is. That's when you can start adding contracts if you want. On a big move like this, you got to watch out for the crossover. Don't just jump right in. Watch and see if they start whipsawing like this. Usually you can watch for the second buy signal. Don't take the first one usually if they start whipsawing. But notice here how wide this spread is on the dynamic trend. That is not a good stacking what I call a stacking sequence. And you'll learn more about this as you get experienced in trading with Boomerang. Don't expect to learn everything on this one video and in 2-3 days using Boomerang. You got to concentrate on the rules and learn how to trade. You're starting a whole new winning career in trading. So don't be so antsy to just get in there and try to do things wrong, thinking it's Boomerang's fault. It's not Boomerang's fault. It's your fault for not learning the exact rules. I'm just giving you a little tough love here. Don't mind. But I want you to be a winning trader. And if you're not going to follow the rules and the discipline, you're not going to win with Boomerang. And you'll just go back to the endless search for the perfect system where you don't have to learn the rules or follow any rules. You just jump in and start pushing buttons. There's no such thing. You don't belong in the trading business if you think that. You got to have discipline. So what I mean by the stacking sequence here, you want setups where all these bands are fairly tight together and stacked right, where this is tight on the dynamic trend band number 1 and 2 and the Cobra crossing. And what you got here is a flat Cobra, a flattening dynamic trend number 2, and a flat dynamic trend band number 1 here. All disqualifiers for taking any kind of trade. And the end result was radical whipsaw, just back and forth whipsaw coming out here during this historical volatile period. I'm just showing you how well Boomerang worked in this volatile period in the markets. Now, again, just so you understand, this is right after the new session on Globex too, so it isn't an area we'd trade anyway. This is all being done on Globex. So now as we move forward, here's the opening of the new market, but the whipsaw continues here. You can trade Boomerang on Globex, but I generally don't recommend it. It's just a different animal trading the Globex markets with the U.S. stock indexes. Those time periods are better left to trading the Euro currencies or the European markets. That's when those are freshly open, and you can use Boomerang on those if you want to trade those bizarre hours for the American time frame. If you're from those countries and they're regular hours, you can trade Boomerang on the FTSE or the DAX or whatever. So here's the opening market now. Again, a West Coast chart, so it's showing 6:30 It's a New York time 9:30. Let the market open up and get going. You can see this is a carryover from a new crossover in pre-market. This is a perfect example, though, I do want to state, of a second level trade. Here's level 1. Here's level 2 that fails. Here's a new buy channel coming in, a pullback signal line, and they shoot straight up. Not a recommended trade within the first 3 minutes of trading, but it was a valid second level trade, just so you can see what those look like. Whipsaw gets going all crazy. Now we're into the 8:14. We're getting close to the radical volatile whipsaw of this period. Market shoots up, forget this trade. Now we're looking for a new crossover, and we're looking for the trend bands to match color or have a spread of 1.5 or less. Now the spread here you can see at 21.75, 22.70, it's within a point. But even if it was wider, the fact that the colors are matching permissions you to take this trade right here on the signal line, which was at 16.5. 16.5 shot up to 19.5, but then came crashing down to 11. So there's your 3 points on that trade. You see what I mean? Now, a little bit of a technical explanation for you. The reason we do watch for all the matching dynamic trend bands to match up, and you notice I haven't even mentioned any of the bias indicators yet, is we're putting maximum force on that side of the trade with the sell channel, the Cobra crossing over, the DTBs matching color within 1.5. You're getting maximum force on that side. You've got red dots on the hyper scalp. You've got the histograms below the zero line or red color in case of a sell. And most importantly, you've got the bias index number 2 here trading red too. So red, red, and below the zero line here. All that together, you've got maximum force on the sell side so that you don't get stopped out ideally, and you get that market to move towards a downside. Again, attend our bi-weekly trainings. I will go over all kinds of things with you that'll help you read the markets like a book, and you will have a tremendous success trading with Boomerang. Whipsaw here, no trade here because you got a steep dynamic trend band. Fat channel formation here on radical spike downside whipsaw candles. This is a third level winning trade, but we don't take third levels according to the rules. So this would have to be let go, and you're doing what? You're just waiting for the next trade setup. The real secret to Boomerang is waiting all day or for the first 3 to 4 hours of trading, patiently waiting for the exact right setup, and you will be rewarded with 80 to 90% winning trades. And you get really good at that. It's like, hey, if you went to an office or another job, you'd go down there 8, 9 in the morning, you'd be there till 5, right? And you're working hard all day, answering phones and working your desk and running out for appointments. All you're doing here is sitting at your trade desk and waiting for the exact Boomerang setups to get your paycheck, what I call a blue-collar workers trading workers paycheck. A blue-collar working trader goes in, waits for the exact Boomerang setups, takes a trade, and then takes home the paycheck. And they do that on a slow day 4 times a day, and on a real busy day maybe 12 winning trades. You'll get up to 12. So about 4 to 5 to 12 trades a day. 4 trades with 4 contracts, by the way, at $240 on NASDAQ. That's $240 a trade, and you have 4 winning trades. You got a $1,000 day almost in your pocket. Pretty darn good paycheck, and you're just sitting at home. You got your dog there you can pet if the kids need you, or your wife has any questions. You're right next door. Of course, you shouldn't be disturbed by any of those things generally when you're trading, but I'm just saying it's the convenience of working at home. All right, so the market shoots up here too fast, too furious. Don't trade at the top of the fat channel, although that trade ended up 19, ended up shooting up to 24. Boomerang's so effective that even trades that aren't permission will still pan out sometimes. Don't worry about it. Just wait. Wait for the ones that are correct. Look at that. All matching DTB. Second level pullback. Level 1, pullback that fails. It fails why? Because it failed to change the color of the dynamic trend band or the slope, but the color will change usually before the slope. It failed. No trade here. Get a new buy channel opening up here, pull back signal line, and up they go for 3 points and substantially higher. Same thing here. Uh, it's late in the day now, coming into the close, so no trade here into that final hour. This is about 10 minutes for the market close. No trade, and they go wild on Globex. This is a super volatile period. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little now so this video doesn't get too long. I hope you understand the basics of Boomerang Day Trader and following the exact rules. Don't just wing it and make up rules. You will lose in the futures market by making it up. Just follow the exact rule. There's no trade here. This is all whipsaw. That's not Boomerang's fault. That's the market doing that. It has nothing to do with Boomerang being right or wrong. It's the market whipsawing the trade around. Here's a level 1 whipsaw. You're standing aside and whipsaw. Don't take a trade here. It's just whipsaw. This is a third level move. Just forget it. Let them run. It doesn't matter. In short time, you'll get a nice move here. Look at that. Within trading right here, within a point and a half, you got to put your cursor up there. That's why we use a cursor. See that 38.60, 38.50, 37 quarter. Within a point and a half, trade this pullback signal line right here at 33 quarter, and down they go to 30, giving you 3 points. If you got in a little late, they pulled them up back up a point against you, no big deal, and then they came crashing down. Not a problem at all.